What are you guys doing just standing there? Got work to do. Piston rings are in. Let's do this. Alright, we're going to go through this quickly since we've covered a lot of this before, but went through with our new rings and checked all the ring gaps, and we were on the upper side of the spec but still good at about 18 to 20 thou gap. Next, looked at our crank end play, and that came out right in the center of the spec, so the 2 to 7 is the range and we were right around 5. Pistons all went in without any major issues. The new ARP rod bolts make it a little bit more challenging to take the caps on and off, but all good. So we got our pistons in and went through and plastic gauged everything just to make sure all our gaps were good. Everything was in kind of the 1 to 1.5 thou range, so all good there. Got everything torqued up, everything felt good. Alright, slowly but surely we are making progress. Pistons are all in, checked all the gaps, everything looks good, all the rod gaps. I think we're good up to this point. I just have a little bit of time today, so I thought I would go ahead and work on our oil plugs, our oil galley plugs. First, today I got my Mopar Nut 62 shirt on. So Mopar Nut 62 is he's got a YouTube channel, super knowledgeable, super nice guy. Make sure you go check out his channel. Also, he's a regular watcher of the channel, which I greatly appreciate, as I appreciate all you guys watching. So Mopar Nut, hope you're doing well. Wearing your shirt, hopefully it gives me a little bit of knowledge to help get through this. Also, quick shout out to Just Mopar Joe for hooking me up with the shirt. So alright, let's talk about oil galley plugs. So freeze plugs are already put in. Not really worried about those. I did not know a whole lot about these oil galley plugs. So first we got basically we're looking at these two plugs right here in the front. Let me get you a little closer. Alright, so we're looking at, there was another one right here, but we're looking at these two plugs, and I did contemplate not changing these out, and then quick Google search said basically yes, these are critical, need to change these out. They are under pressure, so you want to make sure that these are set up correctly. More importantly, you want to make sure you get in there and make sure that it is clean inside. So doesn't make sense to do a 99-yard dash. I've already done everything else. Wanted to get these set up, fixed up, and thankfully it came out easier than I expected. I was worried what it was going to look like inside, that it was basically going to drop into a crevice. That's not the case. Basically it's a little tube running through there that the oil is flowing through. Also, we're going to talk about the plugs on the back side, the square plugs, but let's start with this. Let's pull this other one out. Alright, so I got a regular drill bit here, and we want to make sure we don't get too much crud in there. And really, I should have done this before cleaning out the engine, so I really got to be careful that I don't get a bunch of shavings in there. Alright, using a little easy out here. There we are. And just a little bit of crud in there, but overall pretty good. I'll go ahead and run a brush through here if we can. And it doesn't look too bad. So when they hot tanked it, it must have cleaned out. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, since these are nice and clean, we're going to put in our new plugs. But before we do that, my book calls for adding a very small 1/32 of an inch hole right in the middle of these, just to get a little bit extra oil flow into the chain. So this one actually took me a while to do, jacking around with it. 1/32 is a tiny little drill bit, and I broke one of them, but I got it rigged up on the Dremel now, and I think I got it in good. You can't just chuck it into a drill because it's so tiny, but I think I have it set up now. So we're going to do the other one real quick, and then we'll put these in. And we just want to do this super slow and hope we don't break the bit. There she goes. And we got a little hole. Sweet! Let's go ahead and knock these in. So we are gonna do a quick clean up here. Shooting a little alcohol on it. Definitely don't want to knock it in too far or we'll block some little passages there. In my case, I'm going to use a little bit of this aviation form of gasket. Alright, we'll let that sit 1 minute and we'll knock them in. While that's tacking up, there's one last step here it calls for. It's taking a little chisel of some sort and denting it in. Just one more thing to help it keep from coming out. Alright, oil plugs, pretty straightforward. Got all the new ones in. Don't forget the one in the oil filter area. And there's no real torque spec for them. My book calls around 30 pounds, but I needed to go a little bit higher just to make sure they all went in and weren't sticking out too far. But, you know, don't go crazy. Alright, now it's going to be time to go ahead and put our cam in, so getting exciting. Now, we did have an unboxing video on this a little while back, but we're using a Camshaft 20-223-3. This is a intake at 50 duration of 224, intake 230 exhaust with a lift of 477, intake 480 exhaust, lobe separation 110. We're just going to use cam lube on the whole thing and slide her in. Camshaft is in. Now I see why Joe always has these bolts on the end. It's pretty hard to reach in there, so that definitely helps getting it in. So we got our camshaft in. Time to put on our retainer, but rather than put on the original retainer, I decided, and also by comments from you guys, decided to go ahead and put in one that has a built-in chain tensioner. So I don't remember what year these started being used in Mopar blocks. You know, if one of you guys knows, feel free to throw it down below in the comments. But I want to say it was maybe with the Magnum engines they started putting these in. All right, so what we're throwing in here is a cloyes 9-5387. So this is a one piece, so it puts the what do we call it? The little oil diverter here is built in and has that built-in tensioner. So all good. This is going to go right up on here. I did find what I believe is the original hardware, so we're going to try to use that. And the only problem is, since we drilled a couple little holes here, we got to drill a couple little holes here. We're going to go a little bit bigger with a 3/8 inch hole in each of these. So I'm going to run down to the drill press downstairs, punch those holes, and then we'll come back and put it in. Alright, so we drilled our 3/8 inch holes. As I said we were going to. The other thing that I went ahead and did, I don't know if I needed to or not, but the original plate did have a fourth hole. Now that hole was blocked by the little drip piece here, but I went ahead and popped the fourth hole in it anyways. I don't know if I'm going to need it or not, but since I'm bolting this in place, I don't want to find out I need it and not have it in. Plus, if I do have space, it wouldn't hurt to put a fourth bolt in there. So this is now set up, and we're going to go ahead and bolt it in. 210 inch-pounds is what the spec calls for. So 17.5 foot-pounds, I'm just going to round it up to 18 foot-pounds. That is not very tight. Well, should be tight enough. That's the spec. Alright, so next step would be putting our gears on. And then I just noticed I already have a gear on the bottom. That is, I'm sure, a worn gear that we don't want to use, but it would have been much easier to take it off before I put the crank on it. So now I gotta carefully try to get it off without hammering on stuff. Let's see if it comes off easy or not. I'm gonna start by hitting it with some little PVW blaster in there and hope for the best. I love PVW blaster. It came off without an issue, so it's nice to get one thing that doesn't turn into a disaster. So actually, that was on backwards too. The dot mark was on the wrong side. It doesn't do you any good with it facing the back, but that's all right. One mistake that was not mine. All right, now while I was waiting for that PVW blaster to soak in, I was looking at a few of the next steps, and unfortunately I'm missing some parts again. So I need the key for putting the top ring on. I need the bolt that's gonna bolt the camshaft in place, and then I probably need a few other things. So I need to, you know, work ahead and make sure I have all the parts and stuff. So that's gonna be it for today. Plus I'm out of time. So follow me on Instagram as well at DusterBusGarage, and if you haven't already, subscribe to, you know, see how we come along. See if we hopefully come out the light at the other side of the tunnel and end up with a sweet running ride at the end of this, hopefully. So thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Oh no. Start over on this one. Not mess it up this time. Son of a bitch. There's two. Let's not drop it this time. No, mother. Oh, didn't fall. Whew, landed on the towel. Is still clean. Should maybe get a little mini socket.